Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Halloween.
Ooh, boo.
But anyway, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. Jim, and I'm here with Steve.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody survived Goosey Night last night, or
That's not
Mischief Night, or I think throughout the country, I think it's called different things.
a lot of people don't call it Goosey Night in our world. Actually,
right.
I think Gate Night. I've heard.
Heard that.
Right.
I'm just happy my car didn't get egged.
Sat on the roof with the hose out, making
Oh.
sure nobody stole your pumpkin. Right.
Absolutely.
But anyway, welcome back, everybody. And this is a sports show, and we got a lot to talk about. And we're going to start off, first of all, our first segment's always sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Haverstraw, New York.
Right.
Spoke to the president of said trucking company this morning.
You did?
He sends his greetings.
Well, I send my greetings right back to the president of Coriano Trucking.
Yep.
One of our favorite people on the planet.
No doubt. So I think it's logical that we start with the World Series, right?
Of course.
And, I got some feedback from one of our listeners, Mr. Cruz, that, we talked about, should there be an asterisk, certainly on the individual statistics, but
Yes.
overall. And I got to say, the baseball season playoffs was awesome. I
It
guess,
was.
we were all quarantined forever, so you had to watch it, but it was good, and Clayton Kershaw came through big, didn't he? Didn't he?
I'm going to say Clayton Kershaw performed like you would expect Clayton Kershaw to perform. I stand by my statement that I made a couple weeks ago. If you look at his overall body of work in the playoffs, it's not good. However, did he redeem himself a bit? Yeah.
sure
And
did.
listen, the Dodgers won the World Series.
Yep.
Congratulations.
First time in 32 years,
That's right.
which is hard to believe, actually.
Since Kirk Gibson hit the home run, pretty much, against Dennis Eckersley.
Famous Vin Scully, I don't believe what I just saw.
Pretty much. And
Jack
the
Buck.
fact that the Dodgers won it is not surprising. In our preview show before COVID hit and all that stuff.
They're loaded from top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, the prohibitive favorites were the Dodgers and the Yankees in the American League, okay? The Tampa Bay Rays, I think, is a great story. Again, I mean, if you think about it, their payroll in comparison to what the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox...
downright paltry.
Well,
right? Yeah.
it goes to talent evaluation and building a system. And
Gotcha.
I was rooting for Tampa Bay.
Me
I
too.
really was.
We're American League guys, but I actually, from the get-go, figured the Dodgers were loaded from top to bottom. They lost 2 previous World Series. They were due.
Sure. And again, their road to get there, that Atlanta series was CPR stuff.
Yeah.
But they prevailed, and
You got to give Mookie Betts some credit, right?
we've talked about him. This guy is.
But he did come through and
He's
did
one
everything.
of our, I think he's one of our favorite players.
Yep.
You mentioned Dave Roberts last week. I'm happy Dave Roberts has a world championship
Me too.
on his resume.
Me too.
Like you said, they've come close and so on and so forth. But listen, the Dodgers were the best team, top to bottom.
And you got a lot of, from a Tampa Bay perspective, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? Him taking Snell out. And this isn't being Monday morning quarterbacking. We were watching the game, and the guy was lights out. And, I guess analytics took over, right? So, he made the move he thought he should make, and Snell didn't agree, and it ended up costing him. But does that tarnish Kevin Cash as a manager? I don't think so, right? But it was a big move, right?
There's so many big moves we could refer to in the past.
I'm not pinning it on
John McNamara taking Roger Clemens out against the Mets in Game 6.
Putting in Calvin Schiraldi. Right?
I mean, the list is endless, right? Grady Little, Pedro Moore, and on and on and on.
I got you.
But that's baseball, right?
It is baseball.
It's It's a unique game. That's for sure. And the manager,
But that was only the second hit he gave up, but
right?
you know
But the manager, I think the baseball manager is probably the easiest target to second guess, probably in any sport.
because there's so many moments in a game that you could question or not question
Right.
and so forth.
And
got
each
it.
manager is kind of different. Obviously, you know, we're old school guys. So like a Billy Martin or, you know, an Earl Weaver. Earl Weaver was like, give me a 3-run homer type of thing with that pitching staff, that type of thing.
Yep.
Billy Martin was more of a feel guy, right? Like who's hot, this, that, and the other thing.
And this is way before analytics
That's
and
my
all that
point.
kind of
That's
thing.
my
right?
point where that's thrown out the window now. So
Yep.
it's basically, we watched Joe Girardi manage the Yankees for 10 years, and what would you say? You know, a binder. Like you were going to biology class or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're just referring to these analytics now.
Yeah.
The shift, all this stuff, right? So the baseball that we grew up on is definitely not the baseball that we see today.
Right, but overall, the World Series was very exciting. It was great to watch, and
So back to your original point, asterisk for the Dodgers. I can't, you know
Maybe.
what? The more I'm thinking about it, it's out of control. Meaning
They won
COVID.
they won the 60-game tournament.
They
That's
won. They won the World Series, and it's not like they only played 60 games. You know, they played baseball before. You know, for the most part, right? So.
But it was fun to watch, actually. Congratulations. And Jim Smith, one of our loyal listeners, big Dodgers fan, he's quite happy.
I'm sure, like Larry David and Jeff Garland are very happy in LA. Big Dodger fans.
Right.
Larry's a Yankee fan, but you know what I mean. They
Yeah.
were kind of a couple episodes and go to Dodger Stadium and stuff.
But listen, before we move off baseball, what did you think of the Justin Turner thing? Right, this was kind of a crazy thing, but it's news, right? Considering what's been going on with this COVID thing, and I'll give Major League Baseball credit. They told this guy, do not go on the field, and he basically said, "What are you kidding me? I'll be out there without a mask," and he was. And we don't know what the ramifications are going to be. I think baseball is going to come down on the guy. But overall, if Dave Roberts gets COVID, you know, they're going to tie it to Justin Turner and the whole thing. We could roll
I'm
our
giving
eyes.
Justin Turner a pass.
I'm just saying, you got to play by the rules
I
here.
think
This
Justin Turner let his emotions, the thrill of victory. I give him a pass.
Okay.
I
saying.
get both sides. Don't get me wrong.
I do
I'm not
too.
minimizing, what he did, but I think
And we were watching the game. We didn't know this was going on.
Yeah.
I didn't know, he just got tested positive, How did that happen? I mean, but anyway, as far
But
as
the point is, Nick Saban got tested positive, and then 2 days later,
Exactly.
he's coaching Alabama.
right, Ronaldo got tested positive
Whatever.
in soccer, and
Exactly.
next day Barron Trump got tested one day, and he didn't get it the next.
Right.
But before we wrap up in baseball, what do you think of this Tony La Russa, right, coming back to manage?
I made a comment to our loyal listener Jim Walsh that hopefully there's some wheelchair accessibility for Tony La Russa as he assumes his new role.
76 years old. I
Oh,
mean,
but I'm sure he's
he's got his marbles.
He
I saw.
feels like he's 66.
Yeah. But you know what?
He is a baseball guy, right? I'm making light of the fact that Tony La Russa, right?
Sitting in the press box with a suit and tie wasn't his cup of thing, and he just came back. And
I'm
you know
actually
what?
stunned that he's 76. I thought he was 76 when he was sitting in the dugout, for Christ's sakes.
I know. But that he's coming to a team with a lot of talent. The White Sox are loaded. They got,
Of course,
you
and
know,
Tony La Russa is one of the best baseball minds out there. So
And if it
I don't
goes
have
down-
a problem with
if
this.
he turns the corner and wins a championship with this team, I mean, his legacy is
I think the White Sox are loaded,
Big
meaning
time.
with young talent.
no question
I
about
mean,
it.
they've been making these trades and so on and so forth. And listen, I think the White Sox are going to be a force to be reckoned with. In the
But
next
here's the funny thing.
3 years, 2 years.
And our baseball
They'll be relevant.
Our baseball historian fans, who's the the other oldest manager besides Tony La Russa. It's a guy we always assume he was 99 when he was managing, Cornelius McGillicuddy.
That's a
Right?
layup.
I know, but it's kind of funny, right?
Right.
So,
It's like Cy Young having 511 wins.
right, and
Who's
400.
the oldest manager? Cornelius, please.
Cy Young also 509
Yeah,
losses.
but who's another one was Jack McKeon. Jack McKeon was in his early 80s.
No, not 80s.
Yeah, he was with the Marlins.
No, he was
Yes,
not.
he was.
We'll look it up, but
Yeah.
Anyway, one last thing before we move off baseball. AJ Hinch, right? You actually brought this up a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
He'll be back in the dugout, and
Shocker.
and he is.
Shocker, I tell you. Please.
You know what?
What?
I've been thinking about it and saying,
I said this from all along. He's going to take his medicine. And guess what? The former Red Sox manager is going to be in the dugout.
1 year to the
soon.
day, and he's back in the dugout. Nobody disputed his knowledge of baseball, but I thought baseball would say you got to let this guy sit on the sideline for a while before you bring him back.
Oh, really? If baseball took this seriously, Houston's World Series would have been taken off the books.
Okay. Just saying. Those were the items in baseball.
Okay.
Well, baseball's over, and now our basketball's over, so now we're into football season.
Yes.
And our second segment, of course, NFL, sponsored by Lynch Motors and Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And hope they're doing well.
Yes.
And so let's get into the NFL, Steve. Couple of things. Before we get into our weekly picks and so forth, Antonio Brown back in the NFL, right?
Couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, good luck to him. 'Cause,
Yes. It's been a tough road for him.
We really gotten to the point where there's no talent at the wide receiver. You can't get some 23-year-old kid. We got to bring back Antonio Brown and Des Bryant signed to the practice squad for the Ravens.
I told you Antonio Brown was coming back. I'm not surprised in the slightest with this one.
What's the over and under on him lasting with this team? 6 weeks?
No, I think
He learned his lesson? He's back in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And guess what? I think he's going to excel. I think it's a good move.
Well, he's got the GOAT throwing to him, right? Who's listen, I don't care what anybody says. It was Brady's call, not Bruce Arians' call to bring him in, right? Because maybe Michael Evans isn't the guy that's...
So Michael Evans,
I know, but he's
I'm
not...
a huge Mike Evans fan.
I am too, and I like the guy. He's a classy, comes off very nice. But I think he's injury prone.
I think
now,
Tampa Bay is well situated now to make the dance. They really do.
You think they could beat Seattle and Russell Wilson?
I think they can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just wanted to bring that up because that's a big
It's
deal.
another weapon.
Does he need another weapon?
Yeah. Can't have enough weapons.
I guess.
Ultimately, they're going to face the Kansas City Chiefs.
But you expect him to come back and be an impact player.
I think it might take
this team,
should be some rust involved, but yeah. This
Oh,
guy
listen.
was so productive.
But they
The
look like
biggest asshole on the planet next to Odell Beckham, but
Man, I wanted to bring that up because he's out for the year with an ACL.
I've been telling everybody all week I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier.
The guy has so much talent. He could have been one of the great ones, but this personality of him just
Me,
destroyed it.
I,
It
me,
did.
me, I.
It destroyed it.
And once he did his dog urination impression,
Yeah,
he lost me.
Yeah.
He lost me. What was that? 4 years ago? 5?
guess.
Well, I don't care how long ago.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Right, and then when he went to the LSU game and was handing out money, I was so.
And now-
Odell, yeah.
And now he's banned from the LSU
2 years,
campus.
2 year ban from the campus. What an absolute farce!
Exactly.
I am so happy he is hurt.
But a couple other things with the NFL, right? What do you think of the Tua thing? I think that's a good move, and I like Brian Flores a lot. And Fitzmagic was 3-3.
What
and
is
he was-
he? What you think Ryan Fitzpatrick could care less if he's starting Sunday or not?
No, he gets
No.
his $15 million.
Totally. Absolutely.
But I'm looking forward to Miami.
I'm looking forward to his
kid.
debut.
Me too.
Absolutely. I'm a big Tua fan.
No question.
And listen, it's the right move. The Dolphins, again, they're just setting.
They're not going to the Super Bowl
They're
this
just
year.
you know
And you got to give this kid some
trudging
playing
along
time.
and doing their plan.
Yep.
And if it's time for Tua, which it is, mid season, if you will,
I think it's a good call.
I think
too.
it's a good call.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to seeing how he looks.
And,
But what about Joe Burrow? I got to tell you, he has been exceeding my expectations.
I wanted to bring that up because there's another quarterback I wanted to mention in that vein. But Joe Burrow, #1 pick, Heisman Trophy winner,
Yeah.
and he's going to be a player.
And you know I was the biggest Joe Burrow fan last year.
You were.
And I just thought he may have...
It took you 2 years to sell me.
Right.
And I'm
But
going
I
to
thought,
admit that.
But I thought Burrow would have some, rookie pains. For the most part, I have been thoroughly impressed with him.
Yeah, he's playing for
and
a
then I had a
lousy team,
discussion
too.
with a guy at work about Cincinnati. And Joe Burrow. And I said, well, it's Joe Burrow. He's doing really well. But I said, let's never lose sight of the fact that it's Cincinnati.
they're a horrible team.
No, they don't spend the money. As long as Mike Brown is alive, they're not going to spend the money to build the supporting cast
But they gave AJ Green the money and so forth. They're
You
willing to
understand
spend
what
now.
I'm saying? It's Cincinnati.
They're going to have to start spending now if they
Well,
want this guy
the
to be
only way it's
successful,
going to
right?
happen is when Mike Brown is one of our notable passings. I'm serious.
Okay.
And hopefully, the next generation of Browns that are going to own the team see that,
Gotcha.
right?
Yep. But who's the other quarterback I wanted to bring up? Because I was a buyer of this guy for a while, and he decided to stay in school, and I thought the Giants could pick him, Justin
Yeah,
Herbert.
he's been
I really like this kid.
This kid is doing very well too.
And that was a smart move by the Chargers to say, Phillip Rivers, walking papers,
Absolutely.
seen this movie before.
Yeah.
And they brought this kid in. He's going to be a player.
He's-
I really like him.
He's been
I
impressive.
really like him.
He's been impressive. There's
And
no
he is
question.
a great kid too. He
Good
is.
kid. Yeah.
Just like Burrow. These are young kids that just are happy to be there, and they're not,
This is good for the NFL.
You bet.
To have these two kids, rookie years, and next 10 years type of thing,
You bet.
carrying the torch.
Tua, Burrow, and Justin Herbert. It's a good nucleus for
Sure.
a future quarterback.
Russell Wilson. I mean, how old's Russell Wilson now? 29, 30?
30 tops.
Right.
Right.
So Russell Wilson's going to be around for another.
You bet.
He'll play to 40. I can see that if he wants to.
You know my rule. I don't bet against Russell Wilson.
I don't.
Ever.
I don't.
But you were right about Kansas City. They are so dominant that they look unbeatable.
I mean,
Certainly
as far
in the AFC.
let's get back to the rookie quarterbacks, right? So Burrow, Tua, right? Herbert, and Ben DiNucci. Come on.
Oh yeah, this is a Cowboy fan sitting to my left here, and you got to be scratching your head going,
This
"What
is
are we
a Cowboy fan since 1971.
Yep.
My first memory of actually watching the Dallas Cowboys, and never.
It's been as painful a season as you could remember.
It's been the
I'm
worst stretch of football from the Cowboys I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I'm being honest. When Dalton gets hurt last week and he comes off the bench, I even said to myself, who is this? I'm being honest.
Who, Ben DiNucci?
Yeah,
7th round draft pick from James Madison.
of course. But
kidding.
I'm being honest that I'm like, who the hell is this? And I had to look him up.
That's
University of Central Florida, the finishes at James Madison. And I'm not knocking the kid. Listen, I'm not knocking him. But this is the state of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, you're in bad shape.
Oh my God, it is
actually.
horrific. That is probably the best term you can come up with.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Mike McCarthy, and again,
We're big fans of Mike McCarthy.
Listen,
by the way.
everybody knows I've been on board with the McCarthy selection. I'm looking at him now. I'm starting. Well, I think I am. I'm looking at him in a different light, and I'm saying to myself, Dave,
But how can he control these
I
guys?
want Dave Campo back as the head coach.
Chan Gailey is offensive coordinator. Exactly. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd sit here and say Rod Marinelli should be back as a defensive coordinator. I mean, it's
bad in Dallas.
It's so bad.
It's bad in Dallas.
But you know what's so ridiculous? Is that they're playing the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend in a tough divisional game for leadership of the NFC East. It's unbelievable.
It is
It
unbelievable.
literally could be a 6-10 division winner.
It's starting to look that way.
Well,
We were joking around.
that's my
at
point.
4 weeks into the season.
I don't
but
think
we're
it's
talking
starting to
about
look
it
that
now.
way. I think it's highly probable. 7-9 if they go on a big run.
And if the Giants don't let this one against Dallas and Philadelphia slip away, they could be on top of the division, at 4-3. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It is.
So let's say they win the division.
Yeah.
And they have what, a home game? Against what? Like a 13-3 team?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's so ridiculous.
But listen, you're talking about the Giants, this COVID thing has hit them too, right? Will Hernandez and so forth. So, all the rescheduling of games and COVID impacting thing, this is still happening. It's still real. And you and I joked about it before about Nick Saban. One day he's positive, next day he's negative. But in the NFL, it still looms, right? They're not in a bubble. They're not in a bubble.
Listen, it's spiking, I think, again.
Yeah.
So on a football note, I had the privilege. My son was back in action this morning.
Yep.
Freshman football, Ramapo versus Paramus, and had to wear the mask. They were very diligent at Paramus about wearing the mask, but I can't tell you how. I was so happy. I was watching football live this morning. But the point is, in the high schools locally, COVID here, COVID here,
And
COVID
I was going to
there.
bring that up because,
And DePaul, which is one of the major powers in high school football.
Don Bosco got hit by it, the COVID thing.
DePaul had to shut down now, and
Yep.
and so on and so forth. So, listen, the NFL could shut down tomorrow.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Yep.
So hopefully they're able to ride it out. And
And I'm glad you got to see my nephew play. Like I said, a freshman. This is a big year for these kids, and going to high school and so forth. And but you know what I don't understand, Steve, because you can go to your son's freshman football game, but I can't go see St. Joe's play in Paramus Catholic today at 1:00,
Right.
which is being streamed live on NJ.com. But it's crazy. It's still looming,
Yeah.
and football is this is
they're
the time.
susceptible to shutdown.
They are.
So
But
switching gears, college football, Saturday.
yeah, what's the number one news story today? Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah. I mean,
COVID.
what did we just talk about?
Exactly.
Right?
So the point spread went from, and one of my feelings on point spreads, but that's how dominant this kid has been. Clear-cut Heisman Trophy winner, no question about it. But
Well, maybe
he's out. So the point spread went because Trevor Lawrence went out from 31.5 to 22 or something, crazy like that.
I think they're playing Boston College today. Is that right? I think so.
They are playing Boston.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Clemson's still going to win by.
Yeah.
Take Clemson. But I'd like to make an admission.
Go ahead.
Last week, I was adamant about Rutgers, and when I'm wrong,
We were both wrong.
well,
here. We were both wrong here.
I was adamant that Rutgers would be Rutgers last week against Michigan State.
Yep.
Now, don't get me wrong. I factored in that Mark D'Antonio is no longer the head coach at Michigan State, but it's still Michigan State. But I gotta say I was wrong, and Rutgers. I tip my hat to them.
We were wrong. 'Cause
Right.
I was along the same lines that they were going to be the,
But when we're wrong,
the
we admit-
doormat of the Big Ten.
My
and-
point is, when we're wrong, we admit it. Now Rutgers is playing Indiana today. Indiana's actually ranked 17th.
Yep.
and I do another show, and there's value here that Rutgers. If you bet Rutgers today, they're plus 325, and that's for somebody that drops 10, $20 or something. I
don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Plus 325. I got to bet $20 to win 325. Is that what that means?
No, I mean,
I don't know.
It means your return on that money is going to be depending on what you bet, right? Plus 325 means you want to jump on that, meaning it's
highly improbable you're going to win that bet.
The only analogy I'll give you is you taking the long shot. You're a horse racing guy better than I am, right? It's the same. It's the same premise as betting on a long shot. So my point about that is, because of what they did last week, I think there's value in that Rutgers may win today, as opposed to me always thinking they're going to get smoked.
It's the first game. That's their home game.
It's their home game, but they got a quarterback in from Nebraska, transfer, and Shiano's running the sideline.
Yeah.
And again, people know on our show we have Nunzio and Campanelli and Augie Hoffman, friends of the show.
Yep.
So we root for them.
Hey, that was awesome upset. That was the number one upset in college football last week.
I think so.
No question.
Yeah.
But
but the point is, we root for Rutgers. It's not like we bash them just because we want to bash them. We're New Jersey guys,
and we just think they don't get the talent that if somebody that good says, do you want to go to Rutgers or you want to go to Ohio State or Penn State? We just
and the fact that they're in the Big Ten now,
and
right?
maybe that's going to change. Maybe that's
that's my point. That's what I'm alluding to. Is it going to change? I don't know, but it's more. It could change as opposed to it will never change.
I got you.
Make sense?
Yep, indeed. So listen, before we get off football and move into our next segment.
Wait. College football. Let's continue.
Go ahead.
Big game today. Ohio State.
Penn State.
This is another one where there's value in Penn State that's plus. And I'm just talking from a betting perspective here, right? Ohio State obviously is Ohio State. But Penn State is the type of team that you wouldn't be surprised because of COVID and the lack of practicing. And I get it, Penn State got off to not such a good start.
And they played the Indiana team that Rutgers is playing today.
Correct.
And,
but
not sure that was a touchdown, by the way, in overtime. But
hey, my point is, Penn State, Ohio State. I think that's a real good game today.
That's the game.
And we talked about the show. Who's this number 53 kid on Ohio State again?
Luke Whippler.
Luke Whippler.
From St. Joe's.
St. Joe's.
Got his playing time. We mentioned he lost his black stripe last week.
We mentioned his father.
But he's going to be a foundation of the Ohio State offensive line for the next couple of years, and it's awesome to see.
Absolutely.
He was one of our first guests on our show, and we wish him all the best. He looks great.
He's a great kid.
Looks great.
Outstanding kid.
So, listen, while we're on football, Steve, let's give our two locks of the week, right? I don't play on the point spread. But here's my two locks of the week. It's not a reach, actually. Buffalo, New England. I don't. New England is in trouble. Cam Newton is not the same player that he was, and they got no backup. Buffalo's been reeling lately. Lost a couple of games. I think Buffalo's going to take New England. That's my one pick.
Okay.
And the other one is Seattle. I like them. I like them.
I'll take Seattle. I think that's good medicine for Seattle to lose. It was a great game against Arizona.
Very good game.
And but I see
maybe Kyler Murray is he's hard to catch. Actually, he's kind of like Michael Vick when he came up, right?
I'm a Kyler Murray fan.
Me too.
Seattle, yeah. I think they rebound, but I think that loss is good for them. Yeah. What's the last team that went undefeated?
What, in the regular season?
Yeah.
Patriots?
But you know what I mean. To win it all.
Oh, the Dolphins, 72.
My point is, Seattle was what 5-0. Obviously they're going to lose a game, and that's a good game to lose. But I
bet.
think Seattle comes back and
I got you.
does their business.
Yeah. So those are my picks for the week. You got any shocker upsets that you'd like to throw out there?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Typically, I'll do my homework tonight.
Got it. And
But again, the Cowboy Eagle game, I think that's
crucial.
It's a really great matchup between two division leading teams. It's unbelievable.
Fighting for the basement, as they say, right?
God, my God.
So listen, before we move on, I'd like to talk about horse racing because you brought it up before, right? The Breeders' Cup, right? We got the Belmont, we got the Preakness, and we got the Derby in, but the Breeders' Cup,
Yeah.
awesome. What a
Yeah.
lineup. Talking Tis the Law, authentic, maximum security. This guy shows up at every major horse race ever.
Right.
Looking forward to the Breeders' Cup and Swiss Skydiver.
Cool.
She's gonna run against the boys. That's what I'm thinking. But that's as big. You got the Triple Crown races, but you got the Breeders' Cup, and Breeders' Cup is always awesome, and that's coming up. Looking forward to that. At Keeneland. My sister is
Yes, our sister lives in Kentucky.
lives right around the corner from that.
And that was one of our father's favorite tracks to go to.
Yeah. Wanted to bring that up. It's where the Queen Mum goes every
The Queen Mum.
before COVID. But and last thing on soccer, right? I wanted to bring this up because I saw this thing on the Red Bulls. This kid, Caden Clark, 17-year-old kid, scored his first couple of goals in soccer.
Yeah.
And this is what soccer needs. You need these young kids to come out of here.
He's
and
the next Freddie Adu.
Funny you said that because we brought that up in my conversation with my soccer buddy, Freddie Adu. Exactly. But we know that the U.S. is this Christian Pulisic. He's the stud now, and he's playing in Europe, and he came up young. But I thought it was cool. 17 years old.
Hey, I'm all for it.
And the funny thing, I was watching the game and going, "Oh, there's no fans in the stands." I go, "It's COVID." I go, "No, because it's Major League Soccer. There's never any fans in the stands."
What? There are no hooligans in the in the stands?
No, they're banned. They're banned from Harrison, New Jersey. Anyway, I wanted to throw that in because I was catching crap from not bringing up soccer, but 17-year-old kid for the Red Bulls.
Okay, we brought up soccer.
But listen, let's bring up our notable passings. This is always a segment in our show that we mention,
Yeah.
and
Boy, some movement today.
there was some movement today. You want to start with that because
I mean,
should we do our dueling Sean Connery impressions? Sean Connery today.
damn you, Trebek! Listen, Sean Connery to me. When I heard the news, James, I'm a big James Bond fan.
That's where I was going
and
with
to
it.
me, he's James Bond, bar none. Right?
So your favorite was Sean Connery.
Not even a debate. Sean Connery, I was a big fan of.
Roger Moore was my Bond.
Listen, sports with mono and mono at gmail.com. Please, we love a poll out there.
Absolutely.
I am adamant. James Bond is
Sean Connery's.
without question.
I got you.
But Sean Connery, listen, I was a big fan of him, and sorry to hear his passing. But I mean,
I think he was 90.
yes, he lived
90.
lived a good life, and R.I.P. I mean, really one of my favorite actors, and big fan of him.
But here's a question, because I thought that George Lazenby was the first Bond. But I was told that he was not the first Bond. Sean Connery was the first, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Sean Connery held out the contract negotiations, and
Yep.
Lazenby, from Her Majesty's Secret Service, one gig. We talked about Diana Rigg passing away
Yeah.
a couple months ago, and
Yeah.
she was, a Bond girl.
A Bond girl.
And Lazenby had one role, and then Connery came back.
That's right.
And yeah,
Didn't David Niven also play James Bond?
no, he didn't.
Exactly.
Pink Panther. He had a role in the Pink Panther. He didn't.
Yep. But listen, Sean Connery and James Bond very big in the Monahan family, and it was a
huge.
big loss. Big
Huge loss. R.I.P. Mr. Connery.
Yep. So let's go back to sports and Herb Adderley,
Yeah.
right?
Number 26.
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers. Finished up with the Dallas Cowboys.
Got a ring with the Cowboys and played for Vince Lombardi. And
Better
Bart
believe
Starr
it.
said he's the best cornerback that's ever played the game.
That's,
Big praise right there.
you know what? That's,
Huge praise. 81 years old, Herb
yeah,
Adderley.
listen, Herb Adderley.
He was in the Sunoco book
No
with
doubt.
the Cowboys.
Herb Adderley, that statement by Bart Starr, coming from Bart Starr,
Huge.
that's how good Herb Adderley was.
Yep.
And I was, again, he's a Cowboy to me, and late in his career, kind of like Ditka playing for the Cowboys, the old time guys, like,
Yeah.
that finished, with a year or two to go in their careers. And back then, we were talking 34, 35,
Right.
36 years old.
Right.
But Herb Adderley was considered one of the most best corners, and R.I.P. Herb Adderley.
You
I was
bet.
sad to hear that too.
Yep, good player. Jimmy Orr, wide receiver for the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah,
You know what I saw? His career receiving was 19.8 yards per catch. That's
good.
pretty impressive,
pretty good.
right?
Absolutely.
So, Johnny U threw it to him. He had Raymond Berry, he had John Mackey, and
Yeah.
Lenny Moore, and all these
Sure.
guys, and he still used Jimmy Orr, and it was awesome.
Right. That's pretty impressive.
Great player.
The R.I.P. Jimmy Orr.
You bet.
No doubt.
And Steve, I'm gonna give you the mic here because this one really touches home. Travis Roy.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
I know, give our folks a sense of what Travis Roy means to us.
I just got a deluge of email or text from some Boston University people. So for the audience that may not know that name, Travis Roy, 1987, I left Boston University. I believe it was 1988. Boston University, of course, is a hockey-first school, sports-wise. No longer have the football program where I got recruited to play. Micah Ruzioni, Dave Silk, Jack O'Callahan, Jim Craig, and on, right? So BU is pretty damn good in hockey. So Travis Roy in 1988 I think he was a freshman at that time.
His first game as an NCAA player.
And he
right?
gets checked into the boards in the corner. And he gets paralyzed from the neck down. I mean, what can you say? But Travis Roy became
role model for
a role model, not only for the Boston University family,
but for sports injuries
Right.
and so forth. And
so,
I know.
unfortunately he had to live in a wheelchair and couldn't obviously play hockey anymore, which was his passion. And, the news came down about 48 hours ago that Travis passed away.
I think he was 45 years old.
And I got to tell you, I'm getting a little verklempt about it because
I know. It
as
was
an alumni of Boston University, I was always aware of him and his story, and he David Quinn is the Rangers head coach, and there's connection there, and
probably around the same age, right, as David Quinn.
David
I guess.
Quinn David Quinn and I are the same age. So David Quinn, I knew David Quinn at BU. David Quinn was from Minnesota. He was actually a number 1 draft pick of the Minnesota North Stars. David Quinn had a knee injury, probably his sophomore, junior year, but he was a great defenseman.
Yeah.
And
But I knew the Boston University thing, and listen, from a sports perspective, certainly hockey fans know who Travis Roy was,
Yeah.
and he really was a role model.
Yeah.
It's devastating, and I watched it on replay today for the first time in probably 15 years. And you knew what happened when it happened. It wasn't malicious. Nobody's to blame. It was just it happened,
it was
and
just circumstance, and
But he was a great kid, and it was a tragic story, and like I said, he
lived
passed
a
away.
life of dignity, and
He did. That somebody's dream gets shattered on his first shift and his first, college,
devastating.
devastating.
Absolutely.
You couldn't draw a script any more tragic.
But the fact that
it happened,
right? But the fact that he lived as long as he did, it's great. So R.I.P. to him.
You bet.
And he'll never be forgotten.
No, he won't. That's a big loss in the world of sports. When we talk about role models, Travis Roy, he's a role model. But listen, we would love to hear your thoughts and so forth on anything that we said today. And at sportswithmano@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We heard from several of our loyal listeners over the past week or two, and we'd love to hear from you too. So please send us an email, send us some comments and so forth. And like I said, when you put it in all perspective with COVID going on, and we talk about Travis Roy, we're lucky to be here. We're lucky to talk about sports with you guys, and it's a getaway from reality sometimes.
Sure.
But that's what we do.
Yep.
And we'd love to hear from you. So send us an email, guys.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Enjoy your kids and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful fall day today.
Yeah, after a couple of crappy days of weather. It was horrific in the Northeast.
Not a couple crappy days. More than a couple crappy days. But
we'll be here with you next week, certainly. And we look forward to it. And we do this for you guys, and we do it for us, but we
and
love
the election is Tuesday, so this is good.
Should we do our get out and vote thing?
Sure, absolutely. But it very well may be a different world next Saturday.
It could be.
And I mean that.
It is. So listen, you're right. Get out there and vote. All kidding aside, if you have a
Again,
stake in
you
this,
and I are historians. You and I can appreciate how important it is to vote because of what we know about history and the sacrifice of the ability to have the right to vote.
Yep.
Okay?
And everybody now has the right to vote. So get out there and exercise.
But just understand that you have that right to vote and
take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. That's the only point.
Catch up to you folks next week. Happy Halloween, and we'll see you soon.
You got it.
Bye.